Good luck.
Merhaba arkadaşlar, hepiniz IEFT Talks webinarlarına hoş geldiniz. Bugün Hollanda'nın en iyi üniversitelerinden Tilburg University İngilizce Akademik Program seçeneklerini Anne, Berk Bey ve İlayda'dan dinliyor olacağız. Lütfen sorularınızı questions kısmından sormayı unutmayın. Yes, Anne, the stage is yours now.
Thank you very much for the great introduction. My name's Anne. I work at Tilburg University, and I'm going to give you an introduction to the university, our programs, and studying in the Netherlands. I'll try to keep it as brief as possible so that you have lots of room to ask questions. But I'm not alone. Berk, can you introduce yourself as well?
Of course, thank you, and I will introduce myself in Turkish. Herkese merhabalar. Benim ismim Berk. ISES Turkey Yurtdışı Eğitim Danışmanlık firması genel direktörüyüm. Tilburg Üniversitesi Türkiye resmi temsilci acentesiyiz. Bu da şu anlamına geliyor. Tilburg Üniversitesi'nde bulunan tüm lisans ve yüksek lisans programları için ücretsiz danışmanlık hizmeti vermekteyiz. Yani gerek başvurular, gerek ilerideki yaşamsal ihtiyaçlarınız, konaklama, vize gibi tüm unsurlarla alakalı firmamızdan ve benden ücretsiz bir hizmet alabiliyorsunuz. Bugünkü sunumumuzda da tüm programlarımız, detaylarımızdan bahsederken soru cevap kısmında, chat kısmında sormak istediklerinizi cevaplayacağım. Kendi iletişim bilgilerimi az sonra chat kısmından da zaten sizlerle benimle kontağa geçebilmeniz için paylaşacağım. Öğrenci arkadaşımız İlayda bizimle beraber topu hemen İlayda'ya atayım. O da kendini birazcık tanıtsın ve sonra da sunumumuza başlayalım.
I'll also introduce myself in Turkish. Merhaba, benim adım İlayda. Ben Tilburg Üniversitesi'nde 2. sınıf psikoloji öğrencisiyim. Ve sizin öğrenci hayatı ya da konaklama ya da programlarla alakalı olan sorularınızı cevaplamak için buradayım. Umarım çok güzel bir webinar geçiririz hep beraber.
All right, I take that as my sign to take it away. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to give you an introduction to Tilburg University. And for those of you who are interested in a master, our deadline is approaching. Our application deadline is the 1st of April. So if you are interested, then stay tuned. We're going to take you through everything. But just so you know, you have about 5 to 6 weeks left to submit your applications. So first, I'm going to quickly introduce you to the Netherlands, and you might be familiar with it already because, of course, you started looking at our presentation for a reason, but let me take you through some of the reasons that students have chosen to study in the Netherlands. First and foremost, there's lots of programs on offer in English. There's more than 2,000 choices in the Netherlands, so even if Tilburg University is not the right one for you, there's plenty of opportunities for you to study English in the Netherlands. We also offer excellent and innovative education. All of the Dutch research universities belong to the top 250 in the international rankings. In addition to that, we have a very strict accreditation system. So all the university programs have to be accredited in order to meet the same high standards. So you can be sure that you can get a high quality education in the Netherlands, and it will be recognized abroad as well. Now, another reason that students have chosen the Netherlands is the value for money. In general, it's much more affordable to study in the Netherlands than in a lot of other countries. And we'll get to the specific tuition fees towards the end of the presentation. But you definitely will be able to get good value for money here. And that might be a compelling reason for you as well to choose the Netherlands. It's also a very safe and pleasant place to be. It's very easy to get around. I always feel quite safe at night walking on the street or going somewhere to a friend's house or something like that. It's a very pleasant place to be. And last but not least, let's talk about business and languages as well. There are lots of multinational companies here in the Netherlands, which means that we have lots of expats. Everyone speaks English very easily. So even if it's not our native language, you'll be able to enroll in your study program without having to learn the local language. And you'll also be able to even consider looking for a job afterwards, because there are companies that don't require you to speak Dutch. We do recommend that if you're able to learn some Dutch, of course, because it does make it easier to integrate, but it's not mandatory to survive here. Now, one thing to quickly highlight about the Netherlands that's quite important to know is that we have a difference between research universities and universities of applied sciences. I'm actually curious if you can share whether you're interested in a master or a bachelor, because that will also kind of indicate where our story will go, and that indicates this has an impact on this part of the story as well, because research universities are the traditional academic universities. Tilburg University is also a research university where we offer a 3-year bachelor degree. often followed by a 1 year or 2 year master. So if you're interested in a bachelor, you have the choice of enrolling in a University of Applied Sciences or a research university. If you're looking for a master, most likely you are looking at research universities because the majority of master's programs is available at research university level. So the approach here is quite academic. You learn the fundamentals of scientific research, whatever discipline you are in, and you will also be able to take that knowledge to a different program abroad if you wanted to. So that's really nice about the system. You really learn all those fundamentals that you can apply in later life, in your career, as well as in a different study program. Some people are sharing, that's great. The University of Applied Sciences, on the other hand, are a bit more practical. It's in the name, really. It's University of Applied Sciences. They are 4 years in length because they tend to include an internship, and the pace tends to be a little bit slower. So at University of Applied Sciences, you have a bit more of a kind of a school setting, and it's a preparation directly to enter the labor market. So I usually recommend research universities like Tilburg University is for students who have a strong academic drive, who are really curious, who like some theoretical learning and not just the applied version, and that might suit you as well. Now I'm going to delve a bit further into Tilburg University, and we're going to have help from Elida in a little bit as well, who's going to share her perspectives. But first, let me share the location of the university. You can see on the map that we are located in the south of the Netherlands. We're about an hour and a half south of Amsterdam. And you can see here on this map that we're located in what's called the Brainport region. And the Brainport region is sometimes also referred to as the Silicon Valley of Europe, because there are lots of multinational companies here, especially high-tech companies, and they are constantly looking for talent. So when you come from abroad, that's a really great opportunity for you to join the workforce here. There's really a lot of movement, there's a lot of jobs, there's a lot of growing economy. It's actually the fastest growing economic region of the country. It's also very easy to travel from here. Eindhoven has an airport, and Eindhoven is about half an hour from Tilburg. So it's very easy to fly those cheap flights to Turkey as well. Now, Tilburg has 200,000 inhabitants, which makes us a medium-sized city. I know what you're thinking when you live in Istanbul or Ankara. That sounds really, really small. But actually, it's pretty standard in the Netherlands. We have lots of cities of this size scattered around the country. So in the Netherlands, it's actually quite well distributed around the country. So it's a city with plenty of services. You know, you've got bars, restaurants, things you can do outside your study time as well. Of course, at the moment they are closed, but pretty soon we hope to open again, and you'll really find everything that you need here. That's maybe a nice segue into the current situation. So the previous photo you saw was from our introduction in the years before, but of course in 2020 we had to adapt a little bit. So we're teaching online at the moment. And you can see on this slide roughly how Tilburg University is handling the guidelines. At the moment, the government is telling us to mostly teach online, which means that the majority of our activities is taking place online. But it has some advantages as well, because there are plenty of students who are actually following education from their home country. So it gives you a lot of flexibility as well. For first-year students, there are some on-campus activities where possible, because we do understand that you want some of that face-to-face contact as well. And this is maybe a good moment to ask Elida about how she's experiencing this situation.
So for me, it was an interesting transition from real-life education to online education halfway through my first year of university. Obviously, I was quite bummed out that I wouldn't get the classic university experience. I was like, oh no, what's going to happen? Like, I wanted to have that experience, but the university is really handling it quite well, especially in the realm of the quality of the education. I would say that most of the professors are doing their hardest to keep the same quality by adding in Q&A sessions to compensate for the times where we usually get to ask questions in between lectures or in the breaks, in the lecture breaks. And they are really putting in a lot more work and a lot more effort for us to be able to get the education that we would normally get. And yeah, so I'm very happy with that. Other than that, even with the student life, there's lots of events going on, mostly online, obviously, well, all online, but a lot of clubs and associations at the university are making sure to keep the online events and activities going in order to ensure that we can still have that sense of community and that sense of university life. And it is quite different from hanging out in real life, obviously, but the activities are always super fun, even though it's like over Zoom most of the time. It's really great to still meet new people and get acquainted with others. I've actually made more friends than I've made last year, this year, through those Zoom activities and also Zoom classes as well, where we get to go into breakout rooms and work with other students, as the professors are still trying to make sure that we get to meet new students, we get to meet other peers as well. So yeah, it was an interesting transition, but I'm really liking how the university is handling all of this.
All right, thank you for your insights. I just put on my headset because I thought for you guys it would be annoying to hear the bleeping in the background. If you guys cannot hear me, then let me know, but it seems okay, right? Yeah, all right, then we'll continue to the next slide. Thank you so much for your insights, Elida. I think that will be very helpful for students who are looking for a degree right now. I want to delve into the university a little bit more. So the university is about 90 years old, and we started in 1927 as a business school. So business and economics is really at our core. This is what we're very well known for. And we have about 19,000 students at the moment. We've grown quite a lot over the last few years. So we are a medium-sized university, and we have lots of programs on offer in English at the bachelor and the master level, which I'll delve into in a little bit. Also good to know for you is that our motto is understanding society. This kind of ties into the subjects that we offer at the university, because we're a kind of a social sciences, society-focused university. But also we want you to kind of have a broad social awareness when you study here. So even if you're studying something like finance, which generally revolves around a lot of big money, we also give you a philosophy course so that you can think about the bigger picture as well and think about your place in society. So it's not just for students who are studying humanities or philosophy. Every student at the university gets at least one philosophy course in order to kind of engage your analytical thinking and your critical thinking skills as well. And I think that's something really unique about the university. Now, this is an overview of our schools and our fields of expertise and what kind of programs are available there. We'll delve into in a little bit. You can see we have a School of Economics and Management and a law school and a School of Social and Behavioral Sciences. On the right side, you see our School of Humanities and Digital Sciences, quite a unique combination because it covers both communication and culture studies and philosophy, as well as computer science and artificial intelligence. So a really unique combination. Those four are the most popular among Turkish students. Then we also have the School of Theology and the Euronymous Academy of Data Science, where we offer a data science program together with Eindhoven University of Technology. And you'll hear more about the details in a little bit. But first, I want to show you kind of the international environment that you'll encounter at Tilburg University. You can see here just the top nationalities. We have more than 130 different nationalities now, so they couldn't all fit in the graph. But you can see that Turkish students are quite well represented. They are the fifth largest nationality. So about 5% of our international student body is made up of Turkish students. Now, of course, it's really nice to hang out with people who speak your language and who come from your own home country, but we encourage students to also hang out with people from different places. So we want it to be a really transnational, international experience. And that should be easy enough to do because there are close to 4,000 international students from all around the globe. So you will definitely be able to make friends from different places. I mean, Elida, you're not only hanging out with Turkish people, I assume, right?
No, I'm not. I have friends from Ireland, Scotland, Germany, India, and obviously Dutch friends as well. And it's really great to actually share these cultural differences with them and figure out, like, sometimes you say like a saying in your own language translated into English, you're like, I've never heard that before. What does it mean? It's really interesting to hang out with people from different cultures, and it really is a very fulfilling experience, I would say. It's something you can't really get anywhere else.
Have you taught them already the term mashallah?
Yeah, some of my German friends already know. That's really funny.
Yeah, it was one of my fun discoveries as well. All right, thank you so much. let's move on to the next slide. This is also something that we can ask İlayda to give some input, because basically we asked our students why they chose Tilburg University. And actually, I'm going to remove this and let İlayda share her point of view first. Why did you choose Tilburg University?
So for me, it was a combination of factors. One of the biggest factors being that for my bachelor's program, Tilburg University is very highly ranked. It's in the top 50 in the world. And I had the opportunity to specialize early on in my program. So those two were the top two academic reasons why I chose Tilburg University. But other than that, I really thought that it would be important to make sure that I would be spending these 3 years of my life in a place where I would feel comfortable and where I would get the opportunity to have fun and to relax. So I got the opportunity to actually see the campus before I decided to study here. And I can say that it really is beautiful. It's super green. It's there's a forest behind the campus where you can take walks in, like after your lectures. There's a lake there as well, and I just found it very captivating and super, super relaxing. And the air here in general, like the air feels really clean, and you can like feel the oxygen in the air. It's really great, especially after Istanbul and all of that traffic and the traffic smells. It's really relaxing here. And I also really enjoyed the fact that you can get around everywhere fairly quickly. So you can get from one side of town to the other on your bike in like 10-15 minutes. And anything you want to do, you can do at any time and very quickly. And that was a big plus for me, to not have to sit in traffic for like 3 hours a day. So those were my main reasons why I chose Tilburg University.
Thank you so much. I think that's not on the top 10 list of the cross-section of our students, but I'm sure it's on the top 5 list of students from big cities like Istanbul, for example. Let's see what else they said that you didn't mention, İlayda. I think your insights are really useful because basically, a nice green campus is usually not the number one reason for someone to choose a university. You want a good quality degree. You want a program that speaks to you. You want extracurriculars, all things that you mentioned as well. But the campus is a really lovely add-on, let's say, for a lot of students that they don't always know beforehand. I think you've mentioned the majority. You mentioned that your program, psychology, is very highly ranked. And I just want to add, for students who are interested in business and economics or law, those fields we also rank very highly. We belong to the top 50 in the world in those fields as well. So if you're interested in one of those fields, please do consider Tilburg University. I also want to mention the extra facilities that we have here at the university, as well as the extracurricular activities. First and foremost, the extra facilities. We have a career center, and the career center provides guidance to students. They provide workshops. They also manage an internship database, and they're constantly in development to really try to make that connection to the labor market for you better and better as we are learning and growing, let's say. So they help you with how to write a CV. Why is it important to do? To have a LinkedIn profile that's up to date, etc. We have a language center where every student can choose to follow 2 language courses for free. So everyone receives 2 vouchers with which they can do that. So you can learn some Dutch, but you can also do another language like German, French, or, brush up on your Mandarin. And in terms of extracurricular activities, there's plenty to choose from as well. There's study associations, which are linked to a specific study program. So they usually organize activities that are related to your study program, like trips to the criminal court, or, just to name an example. The student organizations are usually a bit more socially focused. So they organize social activities, get-togethers, all kinds of things. And then there's other clubs like the Debate Club, the Model United Nations. There's, students for Amnesty International. And then there's also lots of sports clubs where you can also become an active member. And maybe, İlayda, you can briefly tell us what you do as your extracurricular activity.
So I'm actually...
Hi, before İlayda starts, actually we have a few requests that İlayda will be talking in Turkish. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, it would be okay. That's no problem.
Then. Okay.
Okay. O zaman...
We can also, by the way, herkese merhaba tekrar. cevapları da bu arada az sonra soru cevap yaparken Türkçe yapabiliriz ama yani sunumumuzun ana dili İngilizce. Dolayısıyla da daha detaylı bilgi almak isteyen tüm öğrenciler, veliler de eğer mail atarlarsa ben zaten webinar sonrasında önümüzdeki 1-2 gün içerisinde çok detaylı ne bilgi gerekiyorsa yardımcı olmaya çalışacağım. Okay, so I also told and that we can also give some Turkish answers during the Q&A session. And also İlayda can provide some information in Turkish, but the main language of this presentation is English. So we will do as much as we can and answer your emails in Turkish if you request so after the webinar.
O zaman ben de Türkçe devam edeyim. Şöyle ben şu an jimnastik kulübünün board member'ıyım. Yani genellikle PR ve sosyal aktivitelerin organizasyonunu yapıyorum. Antrenmanın dışında. Tabii ki şu an antrenman yapamıyoruz çünkü yani koronadan dolayı. Ama hala online aktivitelerimizi devam ettiriyoruz. Bazen beraber online spor yapıyoruz ve bu şekilde Sport Center'da aktivitelere devam ettiriyoruz. Ayrıca üniversitenin Sport Center'ında da bir sürü farklı seçeneğiniz var. Çok fazla spor var ve ilk geldiğinizde de 2 tane istediğiniz sporu deneme şansınız oluyor. Bedavaya tabii ki. Ondan sonra da üyelikle istediğiniz sporu yapabiliyorsunuz ve gerçekten de hani her hafta 5 tane farklı spora ya da aktiviteye katılabiliyorsunuz. Gerçekten süper bir olay bence. I can give the floor back to Anne.
Thank you so much. I trust whatever you were saying. I heard board member, so that sounds good. Thank you for the addition. I want to talk a little bit about our university partners. Students who are in their bachelor can go abroad for 1 semester, and students in their master can actually also make use of this network if they want to. And we have partners all around the globe, as you can see. And here's an overview of some of our more prominent partners to get an idea of where Tilburg University roughly ranks. One funny trick. Even though we have some partners in Turkey as well, you're actually not allowed to go to Turkey on your official exchange during your bachelor because it's supposed to be an international experience. But other than that, you can make use of our partner network. At the moment, the partners in Asia are really popular. Singapore, China, you name it. Those are the most popular destinations. Now, next, I want to show you our rankings, very importantly for the decision-making process of a lot of students. And you can see that because Tilburg University is a specialized university, we do pretty well overall, but we especially shine in the specialized rankings. So when you look at, for example, the business and economics ranking of the Times Higher Education, we are number 37 in the world, number 28 for law, and number 50 for psychology. And similar positions are also repeated, as you can see, by other international ranking bodies. Now, this says something about the reputation of the university and the fact that we're really specialized in these fields. So I think that's pretty compelling if you're ready to make your decision. Now, next, I want to give a quick overview of the programs that we offer. First, to dive into the bachelor's programs. Our bachelor's programs, of course, are completely taught in English. No need to learn any Dutch. And I spoke already about the multicultural classrooms. What's really nice is that we try to have some interactive teaching. So there are large-scale lectures with all of your fellow students, but then there are also tutorials in which you're in smaller groups and where you can really have a discussion with your professor. It's maybe good to know that we have, in general, most of our bachelor's programs are less than 100 students. There are just 2 programs that are larger, which is the psychology program that İlayda is studying, as well as the business program, because they are very popular. They have more than 100. They're more towards the 500, but everything else is a lot smaller. So you can really get a lot of personal attention in the programs here at Tilburg University. Also good to know is that we place an importance on skills development. So we want you to develop presentation skills, analytical thinking skills that are transferable and that you can use later on in your career. And also good to know is that we have a binding study advice. Every university in the Netherlands has that. It basically means that you have to obtain a certain amount of credits in order to continue from year 1 to year 2. A full year contains 60 credits, and at Tilburg University, if you have 42 credits, you are allowed to continue from year 1 to year 2. That means if you fail 2 or 3 subjects, you are not immediately expelled, so that's good news. You do have to pass those subjects in order to graduate in the end, so they go on top of your workload in the second year. Now, this is an overview of all of our bachelor's programs, and I've kind of grouped them by field as much as possible. I don't have time to go into all of them in depth, but I'll just touch upon the different subjects really quickly. So we have a couple of programs in the field of business and economics. Since this is really our core, we are very well known for it. So that's one reason to consider these programs. I would also invite you to look at the content of the programs, because a lot of students think economics and business is the same thing, but actually they are quite different. The business and entrepreneurship programs focus on business, marketing, management, accountancy, finance, financing your own business, starting your own business, whereas the economics program focuses on macro and microeconomics, economic trends, relationships between countries, and it's a bit more mathematical as well. Now, these are our most quantitative programs, and they're quite popular among Turkish students as well. I'll go top to bottom. The Cognitive Science and Artificial Intelligence program is a program that focuses on human-computer interaction. So you learn both computer programming as well as cognitive neuroscience, and that makes it a very unique program and really helps you prepare for the careers of the future. The Data Science program focuses on big data. Where do you get it? How do you manage it? And this is a joint degree offered together with Eindhoven University of Technology, where you follow courses on both campuses. And then we have econometrics and operations research, which is like the mathematical side of economics and business. So students who are good at math should really consider this one. The job perspectives afterwards are absolutely stellar. In the field of social and behavioral sciences, we have a couple of flavors. Of course, the psychology program is very well known and very popular. Elida will be able to tell you more about her experiences in that program later on as well. But don't forget that there are other programs in the field of social sciences as well. We have a couple in the field of human resources, sociology, and one that mixes it all together, global management of social issues. This is really nice for students who are interested in the social sciences but want to take a slightly different angle, because where psychology looks more at what happens in the brain, sociology looks more at what happens between people. So that's really something to look into when you're looking for a study program. Other advantage is that programs are less popular than psychology, so it's a bit easier to get accepted. It's a little bit less selective, so it gives you less anxiety. Our university college, Tilburg, offers the Liberal Arts and Sciences program, where you can combine different fields. So you have a combination of social sciences, humanities, business, and law in this program, and then you can specialize towards the second or third year. So this is really great for students who have a broad mind, who are interested in different fields, and who like to explore different fields before specializing. And then this is the odd one, because this is a combination of three programs that have very little to do with each other. Our global law program is a program where you learn about the big legal systems in the world and how they are similar, different, and how they collaborate. And this is really a law program with a focus on the laws of the future. So the legal career is basically where multiple countries come together, which happens a lot and more so. The Online Culture, Art, Media and Society program focuses on art in a globalizing world, how we use language online and how it shapes our culture and art expressions. And the Bachelor in Theology is a Bachelor in Christian Theology. All right. That was an overview of all of our international bachelor's programs. I do encourage you to check out our website if you have more questions. But I'm going to continue, sorry, Elida, because I want to cover a lot in this presentation. Maybe we can spend some time talking about the psychology bachelor at the end. Our international master's programs are generally 1 year in length. There are a few exceptions. We have some extended masters, double degrees, and the research masters, which can be a bit longer than 1 year, but in general, the standard is 1 year. And we've grouped them by field again. In the field of business and management, this is an overview of all the programs that we offer. What is good to know is that you do need to take a GMAT exam in order to apply for these programs. And later on, I'll cover the details of that as well as exceptions. These programs are all very popular for students who want to master marketing. I would definitely suggest looking at marketing management or marketing analytics. The finance program has a CFA track to prepare you for the official CFA exam. Supply chain management is very popular here in the region. There's a lot of supply chain companies as well, so options to do internships, etc. And at the bottom, you can see the research master, which is 2 years in length, has a stronger focus on academic research and prepares you for a PhD. So afterwards, you don't have to do a PhD, but a majority of students continue with a PhD after completing a 2-year research master. In the field of economics and econometrics, these are the programs that we offer. These are very, very mathematical. So you really have to have a background in mathematics or econometrics in order to be considered for these programs. The job perspectives, again, afterwards are really fantastic because there are not a lot of students who have such strong math skills. At the bottom, you can see the research master in economics mentioned, which has a lot of options to specialize in different fields as well. And again, that one is 2 years in length. Also, I want to highlight the Master of Science in Economics, which is kind of hidden in the middle because I put them alphabetically. But the Master in Economics is a fantastic program for students who have a background in economics. And it has, I think, 9 different specializations. So you can focus on behavioral or financial economics, lots of choices there. So please do check it out. Now, our School of Humanities and Digital Sciences encompasses all these programs, lots of choices available there. I am personally actually a graduate from the one at the top, the Business Communication and Digital Media. So this is one of the possible job perspectives afterwards. We have a couple of programs in the field of communication sciences with different specializations. So business communication is one, but new media design is another specialization where you look more at how to handle new media, social media. Then we have a couple of culture studies programs. Management of cultural diversity is one where we look at places where different cultures come together and how to make policy for that, as well as some philosophy programs as well. So if you're interested in culture studies, philosophy, communication, this is definitely something to consider. It's also nice to consider if you come from a slightly different background, because these programs tend to be a bit more likely to accept students from a different background into their masters. And finally, there's also a research master in linguistics and communication sciences, which again is 2 years in length, all the way at the bottom. Now, our law school has a few fantastic programs, really state of the art. One of the really popular programs among Turkish students is the International Business Law Master. A lot of students do the LLM on top. So if they've already qualified as a lawyer and they want to get an international edge, an international training, an international perspective, that makes you really attractive for international companies as well. Or even if you decide to go back to Turkey, it gives you an edge in the labor market. I also want to highlight the Master Law and Technology, where there's a focus on integrating law and different technologies. So looking at how the law tries to keep up with all the technological developments that are happening now. You do need to have a background in law, but you do not need to have a background in technology. So it looks at things like, you know, self-driving cars and what are the legal implications of that. There's also a Master of Science mentioned here in public governance. It covers public administration, economics, and law. And this is really suitable for students who have a background in international relations, political science, international studies, or public governance, public administration, or law. It's really nice to consider this program if you're interested in, you know, international lawmaking, relationships between countries, politics between countries, etc. Then the field of social and behavioral sciences. This is Elida's school. Elida, do you already know what master you want to do afterwards?
I do want to go into clinical psychology. However, it is important to note that Tilburg University only offers that in Dutch. And I'm planning on taking a gap year to learn Dutch. And since I also, one of my mother tongues is German, it's a little easier for me to learn it. So hopefully I can do it.
Yeah, the reason why that's at the moment on offer in Dutch is because you'll also be managing patients. There are, however, some programs, some universities in the Netherlands, I think, that offer it in English as well. So for those of you who are looking for that now, do search for your options. Within Tilburg University, we have a couple of other options as well. Thank you, Elida, for your perspective. Within the field of social and behavioral sciences, we have a couple of main flavors, which is psychology, sociology, organization studies, and human resource studies. And most of the programs mentioned here are a flavor of one of those. For example, at the top you see cognitive neuropsychology and economic psychology. Another one is positive psychology and well-being a bit further down. Those are all options within the psychology track. Just keep in mind that you really have to have a background in psychology in order to be considered for those. Then we have human resource studies. Excellent program, really high rankings, lots of connections with the labor market, really suitable for students who have a background in human resources or maybe even business related. Then we have organization studies, which is not actually about, organizing events or something like that. It actually has to do with how organizations are structured and how you can take organizations through transitions, mergers, and looking at people and how they function well in a workspace from an organizational point of view. It has actually lots of links with management. So it's a program that's often overlooked. And they're a bit more flexible with their admission policy than the business school. So this is something to consider as well. What have I missed? We've got sociology. If you have a bachelor in sociology, you know what that entails, but also the specialization, politics, policy, and societal development. So that might be interesting for you if you're in the sociology field. Oh, and I missed work on organizational psychology as a track of the psychology master. Sorry about that. There are 2 research master tracks available within this school, one more focused on psychology and one more on social and behavioral sciences in general. So do check them out if you want to work towards maybe a PhD as well. Then we have the data science and artificial intelligence field. And some of these programs have been mentioned before in the presentation, and they're coming back now because they can also be grouped under data science and artificial intelligence. For example, business analytics and operations research, a very mathematical program where you learn to apply math and data science methods to business. This is quite popular among Turkish students as well, and I've seen some students apply with a background in engineering and been accepted. So that's something to consider. The cognitive science and artificial intelligence is the master of the bachelor that I was talking about earlier, where you look at human-computer interaction, very cool program, and a 2-year program because it's an artificial intelligence focus. Then we have the data science and entrepreneurship together with Eindhoven University of Technology, where you focus on data science in a sphere of entrepreneurship, but also taking technology into consideration. So if you have a background in data science, business, something technology, but also business related, you're eligible for that one. And then contrast to the others, we have data science and society, which is actually a program that is suitable for students who don't have a background in data science, but want to get into data science. So that is a really nice one if you want to make some sort of a switch. And then we have our master in Christianity and society, should you be interested. Now, I've been talking a lot. Should we take a little break to answer any urgent questions, Berk? Or should we continue?
So we have been answering a lot of questions, and there are some that I would like to discuss on the floor as well. I think we can start with İlayda, and İlayda can tell us about, maybe if you wish in Turkish, how is the academic schedule and how academic work of Tilburg University? Because there was a question which was interesting, and he was asking, I think Faruk Bey, that are the classes professor taught classes? Are the professors are teaching, or is this self-study or little of both of them? Can you just explain how your classes go in Tilburg University and the system of your faculty and Tilburg University as a whole?
Yes, I can. Should I do it in Turkish or in English?
Go for Turkish.
All right. O zaman böyle devam edeyim. Şöyle lecture'lar, seminerler ve workgroup'lar hepsi lecturer ya da profesörler tarafından yani sizin dinlediğiniz ve onların anlattığı dersler. Şimdi genellikle o şekilde ilerliyor ama onun dışındaki ekstra verilen okumalar, ödevler, araştırmalar, okunması gereken research paper'lar ve bazı projeler tamamen kendi vaktinize yapmanız gereken ve kendinizi yönetmeniz gereken şeyler oluyor. Yani üniversitenin kendisi ve dersler profesörler tarafından veriliyor. Ama onun dışındaki her şeyi kendiniz yönetmeniz gerekiyor ve orada da hani gerçekten zamanınızı ayarlamanız çok önemli. Çünkü beklediğinizden daha fazla iş çıkabiliyor. Tabii daha az da çıkabiliyor ama genellikle onu çok yakın takip etmek gerekiyor. Okumaları yapmak gerçekten de çok önemli. Çünkü profesörler okumalarınızı yaptığınızı düşünüp sınavları hazırlıyorlar. O yüzden hani hem self-study hem de profesörlerin yoğun olduğu bir program olarak anlatabilirim.
Okie dokie. So what else we have? I'm still answering questions. I think we can talk about the conditional acceptance issue because there are a lot of questions about it. Maybe Anne can answer that. Like, how does the conditional acceptance work? How the master's candidates or bachelor's candidates can apply at the first stage and then submit their documents? How is the process?
Sure. Okay, we have a few slides that go into admission in depth, but in a nutshell, we always assess your application based on the documents you provide, and then in most cases you get conditionally admitted, meaning that we've assessed your background, you meet the requirements, but you haven't fulfilled all the documents or you haven't graduated yet. So conditional is the first step, and then when you submit all the documents that we need or when you meet all those requirements, then we change it to unconditional. I'll talk about what those requirements are in a little bit. Shall I continue for a little bit then?
Just a quick question, because I promised Miss Lale Sultan Güneş. He asked about the Jean Monnet scholarships. Well, in my knowledge, if you have a scholarship, like an outsourced scholarship, such as Jean Monnet, Fulbright, etc., you can apply directly, and you can just talk to those scholarship bodies to arrange your acceptance. When you give them your first acceptance, I think, as far as I know, they make the payment if this country or this university is included in your scholarship package. But like, the question is, which master programs do you offer included to Jean Monnet scholarship for business management students? I'm not sure whether you discriminate program to program when you choose scholarship students, or even you choose scholarship students. Can you? I think you will give some information about scholarships in the presentation in the upcoming slides. But can you just give some information about those outsourced scholarships?
Yeah, I don't go into Jean Monnet in particular. I am familiar with it. I know that we have had students in the past who were on Jean Monnet. In general, they were usually applying for the more quantitative programs. So I met a lot of students in the past who had applied for the Business Analytics and Operations Research Master, for example, with Jean Monnet. I don't know the details because some scholarships need you to have been accepted for a master before they give you the scholarship, and other scholarships do it the other way around. I don't know all the details about how it works exactly with Jean Monnet, but I can guarantee you that we have had Jean Monnet students at Tilburg University before, and we have master's programs that qualify for it. So I think that's the base that I can give you. I'm sorry that I don't have more details.
Well, I think we can proceed at the moment because we have managed to answer many of the questions up to now. Maybe we can check what else we can discuss at the end of the slides and all the presentation.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. It's always good to have a little break because otherwise people will be put to sleep by my talking. I want to highlight some really nice opportunity that we have at the master level, which is to do something extra. And this is mostly available for our School of Economics and Management, and sometimes also our School of Social and Behavioral Sciences. We have some double degree options, which means that you would follow another master's degree at one of our partner universities, and usually in a condensed time, you can earn 2 degrees. So that can be really attractive. One thing that's really that I want to highlight the most is the extended master, where you add 6 months to your program, and you can do either an internship or do an international exchange, get some international experience, get connected to companies. This is a very popular and selective program, and it really adds something extra to your master, but you have to be aware that it means you'll be studying for 1.5 years instead of 1 year. This is available for our School of Economics and Management, TISEM, and Tilburg School of Social and Behavioral Sciences, TSB. We are also part of the QTEM network, which is a network of schools that offer highly quantitative programs. And within some of our more quantitative programs in the School of Economics and Management, you can take part in several exchanges and possibilities within this network as well as an internship program. So that's really interesting for those of you who are looking at the more quantitative programs, again, like business analytics and operations research, econometrics, finance, marketing analytics, those types of programs. And have a look at our website for the details. All right, now what can you do after graduation? After graduation, students receive a one-year visa to look for a job in the Netherlands. And on average, graduates manage to find a job within 3 months. About 1/3 of those students actually find a job in the Netherlands, another third somewhere in the EU, and the final third returns to their home country or finds a job outside the EU. So it's a nice spread. You can boost your employability by writing your thesis with a multinational. It requires a bit of extra thinking, but it's a really cool thing to do in your final year. And I mentioned already the Career Service Center that offers trainings and workshops to help you with labor market orientation as well. It's also nice to know that there is a large job market in the Benelux, the Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg, who are looking for international graduates as well. So there are definitely opportunities, and the more quantitative you go, the better the chances. Now, those very important admission and application questions. First and foremost, the bachelor admission. So we are one of the few universities that actually made an effort to study the Turkish education system, and we do accept the lise diploması, but you have to get a diploma puan of 80, so a final GPA of 80 on your diploma, where we take the final 4 years into consideration. Please note that you also need to have a score of 80 for your math subject in particular if you're applying for one of our programs in the field of economics and management. It's also important to note that if you want to apply for data science, because it's a collaboration with Eindhoven, and Eindhoven University of Technology does not accept the Turkish diploma, unfortunately, we cannot accept the Turkish diploma there. So it means you would have to do 1 year of university elsewhere, and then you can still enroll. So it's not impossible, it's just a little hurdle. If you come from an international school, we've listed some of the more common application requirements here. We accept the IB diploma with an overall score of 24 or above. That's a guideline set by the Dutch government. Our average IB score, however, is around 34. So that's kind of where the average lies. And on this slide, I've also listed the mathematics requirements for that diploma. If you are doing a Turkish high school diploma or an American high school diploma and will be achieving APs, that's very welcome. Normally we require 4 APs, but since we also accept the Turkish diploma on its own, if you meet that GPA requirement, it's not always necessary to have all 4 APs. However, if you're applying for data science, then it's useful because it can make up for the deficiency. Here you can see our English language requirements. It's pretty standard. It's roughly the same across the Netherlands. These are the tests that we accept. We often get lots of questions if we accept other tests. Unfortunately, we do not. So it has to be one of these, the academic IELTS, the TOEFL, or the Cambridge Advanced or Cambridge Proficiency exam. Now for the master, the most important thing is that you need to have a bachelor in a similar field. Sorry. If you want to apply for a master, for example, in economics, you need to have a bachelor in economics or a very related field. We get a lot of questions, especially in Turkey, from students who come from a very different field, such as industrial engineering, and who want to make a switch to marketing or management or economics. And unfortunately, in a lot of cases, the university doesn't allow that type of switching. So it is important to realize that the master is very compact. It's only 1 year, and you should have a lot of basic knowledge already. Otherwise, you cannot keep up with it. The good news is that if there's a little bit of skills or knowledge missing, we have the option for you to do a pre-master. Don't worry about it. You can always apply for direct entry into the master. And if the university believes you need a pre-master, then we will indicate that you've been accepted for the pre-master and not the master. So there are definitely some possibilities. And there are a few master programs where it's actually possible to go from a different field to a different field. I've mentioned them already in the presentation. For example, our organization studies master does welcome students from different backgrounds. Business analytics and operations research master has accepted students with an engineering background. Students with a background in international relations can apply for the Master of Science in public governance. So there are some possibilities to switch fields in some specific programs. I've also listed the English language requirements for the masters. As you can see, they're slightly higher than for the bachelor. And it's very important to note that if you're applying for a program in the field of economics or econometrics, you need to take a GRE. If you are applying for a program in the field of business, you need to take a GMAT. And when you go to your program of interest on our website, you can click on eligibility. And there you will find the application criteria and the exact GMAT score or GRE score that is required. Please note also that our research masters, so the 2-year masters, are more selective because we really want the top candidates for that one who have a knack for academic research. So those programs are selective and the entrance requirements might be higher. Now, how do you actually go about applying? Step 1 is also always creating a StudyLink application and registering there for the program of your choice. That will generate an invitation email for you to upload your documents in our own application system, Osiris. It is very important that you complete StudyLink and also include some information about your educational background. Otherwise, that email will not be generated. But if you have problems with that, you can always turn to our partner, Berk Aljeni with ICES, who can help you out as well. And it's really quite clearly described on our website. So it is important for you to keep an eye on the website and see what the requirements are. And if you follow those steps, then you should be good. I've also listed our application deadlines here. Some of our master programs do have a February intake for which you can apply until October. But the biggest intake is the September intake, for which the deadline is April 1st. So it's coming up shortly. Then what does it cost to study at Tilburg University? In general, a bachelor program, the tuition fee is about 8,900 euros per year, so about 9,000, let's say. For the master, it's 14,600 euros per year. So, of course, this isn't a large sum, especially when you look at the fluctuating Turkish lira. However, if you compare it to the UK or the US, Australia, it's a lot more affordable. So this is something that draws a lot of students in. At the bachelor level, there are not a lot of scholarships, but at the master level, there are some possibilities for scholarships as well. So that can help you out as well. We've also given an overview of the estimated cost of living, and it might be good for Elida to reflect on that. Is it roughly accurate?
I would say it's very accurate, and the big chunk of the cost of living really does come from accommodation. So depending on where you choose to live, you can cut down on your monthly budget quite a bit. So, but the rest is usually very stable, and yeah.
Thank you. That was very quick and very clear. So I appreciate that. That gets us to some scholarship information. As I said, most of the scholarship funding goes towards the master programs. You can see that there's an Orange Tulip scholarship, which is given by the Dutch government. We have some other opportunities as well. So you can have a look at tilburguniversity.edu/scholarships. And of course, the partner scholarships, which I'll show you in the next slide. If you come from one of our partner universities, you will receive a 25% discount on your master. So where does that apply? If you come from one of these universities and the school matches as well. So if you're a student in Sabancı University in the field of social behavioral sciences, you qualify for that scholarship if you apply for Tilburg University program in the field of social and behavioral sciences. Very important to know, and I always forget to mention that, is that there's a bonus. If you come from one of our partners and you're applying for a master in the field of economics and management, you do not need to take a GMAT or GRE. So if you're studying, let's say, economics at Bosje University, you're applying for economics in Tilburg, you do not need to take a GMAT or GRE. So that's a huge bonus, as well as the 25% discount, which I think is quite appealing. I've listed our upcoming open days, and I really encourage you to make use of those opportunities because we have a lot of students who are sharing their experiences in their programs as well as our professors. So it is possible for you to meet with them and to get more in-depth information about our programs. They can tell you much more than I can. So I really encourage you to attend those events. And you can also create your own online brochure by going to tilburguniversity.edu/mybrochure. That concludes my presentation. I was not as fast as last time, unfortunately, but we did take a little break in the middle. Oh, there we go. You can see my Outlook calendar there.
Okay, so just a small brief information because we have just talked about the scholarships. For this Orange Tulip scholarship applications have been closed. So the students who are going to start in the next September are not able to apply to this scholarship anymore. But there's a good question by Mr. Alper Türkiye'de. I think I assume he's from Bilkent because of the other questions. So the student is asking if he can apply both to Orange Tulip and take the partner discount together.
Yes, you can.
Okay, very good. So yeah, for this year, Orange Tulip is not on the table anymore. But for starting from February, next February, and then the next intakes is also is going to be available for students to apply. And I also took a note from Mr. Fatih Susal. He asked about in mandatory internships, do university find where we can do internship, or do we have to find by ourselves? So nobody, as far as I know, nobody's taking you with your hand and put you to a firm to start working. But what is the support, what is the service Tilburg's career office is providing for our candidates? Can you just explain a little bit, Anne?
Sure, that's a very good question, and I can completely understand that you would be interested in getting some labor market experience. Our career center mostly focuses on giving support in the form of trainings and workshops, and they also manage a database of internships. So this is something that Dutch universities have been developing and learning over the years, because in the past, the universities of applied sciences were really the ones that were completely focused on internships and labor market, whereas research universities were very highbrow, very much looking at getting a PhD, academic education, etc. But this is completely changing because we see that students need labor market experience as well. So more and more companies are coming to us as well to share their vacancies. So our career office mostly manages this database, gives you tips and guidance, and sometimes can make connections for you between companies or suggest, hey, this company always wants students from this program, etc. In the end, of course, it's up to you to then arrange an interview and shine in it. But this is the extent to what we can do at the moment. Elida?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I saw that one of the questions asked if we do offer medicine as a bachelor program, and we do not, but there is a specialization in the program of psychology called medical psychology, where you look at psychology from the perspective in a medical setting, such as cancer patients or Alzheimer's patients. So maybe if that is also something that interests you, it's also possible to look into that as well. I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you. I think we have 2 minutes. So what are the burning questions that we have left?
Okay. Just shortly explaining, there are a lot of questions and demand about scholarships in bachelor's degrees. I want to just tell them my opinion, tell our audience to my opinion on this matter. Tilburg University is ranked in the top 50 usually in many of its specializations, and as far as I know, especially in economics and business, is top 5 in Europe. So the fees, the annual fees the Tilburg University offers is like 8,000, 9,000 euros, is not available for you at any level when you consider other opportunities in UK, Canada, USA. So it's not possible. It's not on the table. So I just want to inform our parents and students about the value of the bachelor's programs and the fees. I know that there are not many scholarship options in bachelor's, but I can tell that the Netherlands as a whole do not give away scholarships like a gift. They just set a price that is, affordable and, not easy, but I think fair to pay. So that's my answer to all of the questions regarding the bachelor's scholarships. And for master's scholarships, as I mentioned, you either have to be a partner university or you should have applied to Orange Tulip, or you can do it in the future as well. We can help you with that if you wish. İlayda, is there any other question you see important?
I think the question about what's important to do before coming here to study in terms of preparing yourself, I really think that if you have the time, brushing up on your academic English and academic writing is a really good idea to do before coming here, because that's really gonna set you up on a good foot and help you go forward, because I've seen most of my friends struggle with that aspect, especially my friends from Turkey who have not done a lot of academic writing in their high school career have struggled with that aspect. So I think it's always a good idea to brush up on that before coming here. I would say that would be my biggest tip.
All right. I think that means we might have to wrap up. I'm going to ask our partners from IEFT whether we should stop.
Yes, we had a lot of questions, you guys, and you answered all of them. I think it's okay if we wrap up. So we will thank you because you had a great presentation. Also, I would like to thank the participants in Turkish as well. Katıldığınız için teşekkür ederiz arkadaşlar. Tilburg University ile ilgili diğer sorularınız için ve İlayda'nın paylaşmış olduğu mail adresinden iletişime geçebilirsiniz. Aynı zamanda Berk Bey'in paylaşmış olduğu mail adresinden de iletişime geçebilirsiniz. Bir sonraki webinarımızda görüşmek üzere. Thank you again. It was a pleasure to have you in IEFT Talks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us. Teşekkürler.